Jesus got up and went with him, and so did his disciples. Just then a woman who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years came up behind him and touched the edge of his cloak. She said to herself, "If I only touch his cloak, I will be healed." Jesus turned and saw her. "Take heart, daughter," he said. "Your faith has healed you." And the woman was healed from that moment. When Jesus entered the ruler's house and saw the flute players and the noisy crowd, he said, "Go away, the girl is not dead but asleep." But they laughed at him. After the crowd had been put outside, he went in and took the girl by the hand, and she got up. News of this spread throughout all the region. Then another instance where he heals a blind person and a mute person. As Jesus went on from there, 2 blind men followed him, calling out, "Have mercy on us, son of David." He's called son of David because Joseph, the alleged father, his stepfather according to the Bible, is a descendant of David. Whereas he, on Maryam's side, is a descendant of Harun alayhi salam. Right? So that's why he's called son of David here. When he had gone indoors, the blind men came to him, and he asked them, "Do you believe that I am able to do this?" "Yes, Lord," they said. Then he touched their eyes and said, "According to your faith, will it be done to you?" And their sight was restored. Jesus warned them sternly, "See that no one knows about this." But they went out and spread the news about him all over that region. And then later on, somebody who was mute, he was also cured. Actually, there's different accounts of these miracles that the Quran refers to, and the New Testament also affirms. There are details that contradict what we know about Isa alayhi salam, but there is some overlap as well between the two accounts, the two stories. One other place I wanted to read to you from is in Mark. If you're coming here to get a lesson in the Quran, you're going to get a Bible lesson too. Alright, so Mark 1 verse 40. This is a man with leprosy. A man with leprosy came to him and begged him on his knees, "If you are willing, you can make me clean." Filled with compassion, Jesus reached out his hand and touched the man. "I am willing," he said. "Be clean." Immediately the leprosy left him and he was cured. Jesus sent him away at once with a strong warning, "See that you don't tell anyone about this. But go, show yourself to the priests and offer the sacrifices that Moses commanded for your cleansing as a testimony to them." Instead he went out and began to talk freely, spreading the news. As a result, Jesus could no longer enter a town openly, but stayed outside in lonely places. Yet the people still came to him from everywhere. So for some reason in the biblical accounts, he keeps on telling them, "Don't let anyone know that I've done this miracle." Which maybe he did, but it doesn't make that much sense. When you think of miracles, and miracles are there for people's faith to increase. And so it behooved him to let more people know that this miracle has happened. So that's not a very clear story. Recite the salawat. Let's look at the next verse. This is in 350, the next verse in Surah Al-Imran. وَمُصَدِّقًا لِمَا بَيْنَ يَدَيَّ مِنَ التَّوْرَاةِ وَلِأُحِلَّ لَكُمْ بَعْضَ الَّذِي حُرِّمَ عَلَيْكُمْ وَجِئْتُكُمْ بِآيَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُونِ. And I come. So here you can see that transition has fully taken place. The angels are no longer talking. They're out of the picture. Now it's just Isa alayhi salam talking to us. Okay. "And I come to confirm the Torah, which came before me, and to make lawful for you some of the things that you were forbidden. And since I have brought you these signs from your Lord, so fear God and obey me." This is one of the things that Isa alayhi salam keeps on repeating, that I am here to confirm the Torah. I'm here to confirm the message of Musa. Now, just because he says this doesn't mean necessarily that the Torah that existed at that time was legitimate. Right? What he's saying is, I'm here to confirm the message of Musa, the original Torah of Musa. Right? The Torah that's referred to, like I said earlier, I think yesterday, the day before, the Torah, when it's talked about in the Quran, indicates the actual tablets that were sent down to Moses. Right? In Moses' time, it wasn't even like it was dictated, he wrote it down or something. The actual tablets, like stone tablets, inscripted with the message of the Torah, was actually given to him when he went up to the mountain after the 40 days. And those alwah are mentioned in the Quran, at least two different places. The alwah are these tablets. So whenever the Quran refers to the Torah, it's talking about that particular book, not the Old Testament or the the Old Testament that's there now, or even at the time of our Prophet, or even at the time of Isa alayhi salam. Right? Corruption had already taken place. Like I gave you kind of a rundown of the history. There was at least an 80-year gap, right, during the Babylonian captivity, between the reigns of Nebuchadnezzar, when he kind of destroyed Jerusalem, destroyed the tablets themselves, the original tablets that were there. He destroyed all of that, right, imprisoned all the Jews in Babylon. Between that time and the time when Cyrus took over, defeated the Babylonians, and then allowed the Jews to rebuild everything under Ezra. Right, during that time, it was about an 80-year period. Right, and during that time, they had no access to the Torah. They lost the Torah totally. And then Ezra undertook rewriting it, right, probably from memory, asking people who are old and who might have remembered and stuff like that. So then he reconstructed it, and so the modern Old Testament is more like it's been written by these people. Okay. So that's the new, that was in like what 400 something BC, and the 4th or 5th century BC that is when that rewriting happened. So when the time when Isa alayhi salam is born, then this is 400 years after all of that. So there's no connection between that Torah that existed then and the Torah of Musa alayhi salam, except for these overlaps that we see. Like even the Bible here, we see there are overlaps with the truth, which is what's in the Quran. Right? So there are bits and pieces of the truth, but we can't say that the whole book is true. Right, so when he says, I'm here to confirm the Torah, he's not saying, I'm here to confirm the Torah that you Jews have right now. Rather, I'm here to confirm the same message that Moses brought earlier, of which some still exist with you. Right? There's a difference between those two phrases. This is something that, again, the Bible also records him saying. In the Beatitudes, in Matthew 5, Jesus says the following. According to the Bible. This is Matthew 5, verse 17. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law of the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. I tell you the truth. Until heaven and earth disappear, not the smallest letter, not the least stroke of a pen, will by any means disappear from the law. Law meaning the Torah. Until everything is accomplished. Anyone who breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same, like Paul, will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. Because Paul says you don't have to abide by this law, faith is good enough. Right? So he's acting directly in contradiction to Jesus' words here. Anyone who breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called least in the kingdom of heaven, in the Akhirah. But whoever practices and teaches these commands will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I tell you that unless your righteousness surpasses that of the Pharisees and the teachers of the law, you will certainly not enter the kingdom of heaven. And then he goes through and he kind of amends the law. He says, you've heard that adultery is bad. I say, like, not only is adultery bad, but if you look at a woman with lust, you've already committed adultery with her. You've heard that an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth is the law. I say that's like forgiving is better than carrying out qisas and punishing people like that. Right, so he goes and he amends the law in the Beatitudes there.